on Design DNA, the most coveted stand mixer in the world.
A lot of people will hand them down over time. They become family heirlooms.
The making of a classic chair.
It became something that people really desired.
And the German engineering behind the closest shave.
Shaver is like, ooh, this is my man's toy.
It's the top-selling stand mixer in the world and is on just about every new bride's registry. The KitchenAid Artisan Stand Mixer, loved as much for its high performance as for its distinctive retro design, is the beauty queen of the kitchen counter.
The stand mixer has become one of the definitions of iconic design. That basic body style remaining as consistent as it has is really amazing, and it shows just how well the design team originally got it right.
For close to 100 years, people have developed deep relationships with their mixers and have even named them. Things like Sir Mix-a-Lot, Old Bluey, and Cupcake.
There are people out there that collect them. A lot of people will hand them down over time. They become family heirlooms.
The stand mixer was one of the first appliances to take the load off women in the kitchen. Legendary chef Julia Child had one. It's now on display in her recreated kitchen at the Smithsonian Institute. Hers was in the ever-popular cobalt blue.
Originally, we produced the KitchenAid stand mixer in white. In the 1950s, we introduced a couple more colors, and today we produce more than 50 colors that we have in our library currently.
The original design back in 1908 was the creation of an inquisitive engineer, Herbert Johnson, who had watched a baker struggling with a heavy metal spoon.
He just thought, there's got to be a better way. And it took a couple of years, but by 1915 they had a design that was heavy-duty size for commercial kitchens.
The first mixers were used in the galleys of U.S. Navy ships during World War I. After the war, an enterprising industrial engineer named Edgemont Ahrens recognized the appeal of making a smaller version for the home.
So over time, the challenge has been to scale down the product, make it appropriate for the home, but also to preserve that restaurant-grade mechanical power.
Ahrens came up with the iconic, patented bullet shape we know so well today. At first, it was sold door to door, even though it still weighed in at 65 pounds.
I can't imagine how they did that, but at any rate, it was very much about a new technology that really needed to be demonstrated. They would bring the stand mixer into the home, they would make a meal. People would be impressed by just how easy it would mix up the ingredients and all that, and that's when the sale would happen.
And sales happened. 90 years later, this plant in Greenville, Ohio, supplies the world, producing a jaw-dropping 8,000 stand mixers a day.
And it's essentially built the same way it was 90 years ago, and it's withstood the test of time.
The assembly process starts with zinc castings produced locally. Zinc gives the mixer its legendary heft and durability.
We machine those, which is taking a raw casting and getting the fine detail that's required to mate the parts together.
After the rough surfaces are smoothed out, the stand mixer parts are drilled so they can receive the dozens of nuts and bolts that will hold them together. Then the parts are washed to remove any metal shavings. The pieces then go to the paint department to receive their coats of many colors.
We apply an electrostatic charge to the powder paint particles as we spray them onto the part. The electrostatic charge enables the paint to stick to the zinc housing as it goes through the paint booth.
The freshly painted parts then head to pre-assembly, where hardware is added to the base plates and pedestals. Meanwhile, the flat beaters are burnished in a sea of steel shot. From pre-assembly, the mixers then go to the motor build area. These robust, small motors have made the stand mixer famous. They power the mixing motion, called planetary action.
The way planetary action works is that the bowl stays stationary And what the beater does is it not only rotates itself, but it also moves around the perimeter of the bowl as well. So you get 2 dimensions of motion.
It ensures that nothing in the bowl gets missed. Once the motors are in, the process of assembling the entire outer body of the mixer begins.
That's the process of attaching the gear case to the bottom cover, and then the bottom cover and gear case assembly to the pedestal itself.
Each stand mixer takes about 2 days to make. Every one is rigorously tested for wattage and speed before it goes to final packaging, where the attachments are added to the box. Another sign of the mixer's timeless design is that attachments from decades ago still work today.
Well, some of the first attachments were a pea shucker or a food grinder. Well, one of the neat things is that the stand mixer today will still fit those original attachments.
Today, the most popular attachments are a pasta press, a citrus juicer, and the all-time favorite, an ice cream maker. Stand mixers make one final hairpin turn on the conveyor, on their way to glam up the kitchens of fashionable foodies everywhere.
The stand mixer has been a 90-year story, and it's going to be another 90 years.